to my Introduction to Piano course. I'm Louise and I'm very much looking forward to becoming your teacher over the next few weeks. The purpose of these video lessons is to give you and your parent an introduction to the joys of making music in a fun and creative way. I want to give you the basic skills that you need to develop a relationship with the piano and a lifelong love of music. Let's get started. So the first technique we need to look at is how to sit at the keyboard. First of all, we need to look at your distance from the piano. So, as you can see, I'm sitting towards the front of my stool, and when I put my arms out, my knuckles are at the edges of the keys. So you can see they're just touching the keys here. You need to make sure that you're not too close, so you're sort of hunched like this and your arms are bent up. You also don't want to be too far away, so your arms are having to go straight to stretch to reach the keys. So it's very important that you're sitting in the right position, and move the stool forwards or backwards to make sure that you've got this correct position. The second thing is to check you're the right height. So your arms should be nice and straight, parallel with the keyboard. So we shouldn't be like this, we shouldn't be too low, they need to be nice and straight. If not, you can always sit on a cushion, or you may need to lower your chair a bit. I've got an adjustable piano stool, which is quite useful because I can just twist it up and down for my different pupils who are different heights. The last thing is that you're sitting tall, so your posture's good, you're sitting up nice and straight, but that you're also relaxed. So we want straight back, but we don't want hunched shoulders. You need to have a straight back, but make sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed and you can easily take a deep breath and you feel comfortable. So the second technique we need to look at is hand position. So now you're seated nice and comfortably and in the right position on the stool. The next thing to look at is where our hands go. So the most important thing is that we have nice curved hands. We don't want flat hands to play. It makes it a lot harder. And if you look at your hands when they're flat, you can see the fingers are all different lengths. And if I put them on the keys, you can see some fingers touch further up the keys than others. As soon as you curve them, all of a sudden, as if by magic, the fingers all become the same length and they're all touching the keys in the same way. This makes it a lot easier to play because they're all touching the keys evenly. Another way you can remember how to keep your hands is by putting your hand over your knee. So if you put your hand on your knee and then slowly lift it off and keep it in that position, that's the position that you want your hands to be on the keyboard. Now what we're going to do is practicing opening and closing your hand. So we want a nice open hand to start with, and then you're just going to practice closing it into the position we just talked about. So open, closed, open, closed. Remember, if you forget how that hand is supposed to be, just put it over your knee, and that's the shape you want, a nice curved hand. Open, closed. So we're going to try it to some music. So you're going to open and close it in time with the music, and this will get you used to feeling a beat as well. So let's have a go. Closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed. So now I want you to have another go. We're going to do it on the piano this time. So we're going to go open, closed, open, closed. So let's have another go. Closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed. So one more thing we need to talk about before we start playing is our finger numbers. So each of our hands has a thumb and 4 fingers, and each of these fingers has a number. So thumbs are number 1, your index finger is number 2, middle finger is number 3, your 4th finger is number 4, and your little finger is number 5. So thumbs are always 1, and then the finger numbers work out towards your little fingers. So I'm just going to close the piano lid so you can see a bit more clearly. So we've got fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I want you to do is on your piano lid or just on your keyboard or on the floor or on a book, wherever you want to, wherever you can see, place your hands clearly, we're going to have a go at just looking at our finger numbers. So try with me. Put your thumbs down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift them up again. Can you then do it backwards? So we'll start with finger 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then one more thing to try. We're just going to try going between finger 1s and finger 5s. 1, 5, 1, 5. So the reason we need finger numbers is it's really going to help us with our playing, especially when we're beginners. So I just want you to pause the video, and in your book on page 6 you'll see a space where you can draw around your hands, and then I want you to number each of your fingers. So now we're ready to actually start playing. So what you're going to do is, first of all, we're going to play on the black notes of the piano. So you can see there's black notes and there's white notes. And to start with, we're just going to be playing on the black notes. What can you see about these black notes? They're grouped into groups of 2 and groups of 3. And there's lots of different groups all the way up the piano, taking in turns between groups of 2, groups of 3, groups of 2, groups of 3. So what I want you to do is find the very lowest group of 2 that you can see on your piano or keyboard. And then I want you to use fingers 2 and 3 in your left hand. So that's your hand that's towards the lower end of the piano. So fingers 2 and 3, and what you're going to do is play all the groups of 2 black notes. So I'll show you. And did you see when I got to the middle of the piano, I swapped my right hand because it was easier to use my right hand going up towards the higher end of the piano, and I was still using fingers 2 and 3. So as you could probably hear, when I started down here with my left hand, the notes sound very low, and when I finished up here with my right hand, the notes are very quiet and gentle and very high. So have a go with me this time. Start down the bottom, find your lowest pair of black notes, the groups of 2, and we're going to try playing together. Are you ready? Go! Swap your hands over. Very good. So the next thing I'm going to play you is in your book, you'll see on page 10 you've got a piece called Two Black Ants. And I'm going to play it to you first, and then we're going to have a go at playing it together. So we start in the middle of the piano, and we still use fingers 2 and 3. So we're still just looking at these groups of 2 notes. So I would start in the middle of the piano. So make sure when you're sitting in the middle of a group of 2 black notes that's in the middle of your piano or keyboard. All pianos and keyboards are slightly different, so yours might be slightly shorter than mine. So find that group of 2 black notes in the middle, and then what you're going to do is you're going to play with a finger 2 and then a 3, then play them together. So you go like this: finger 2, finger 3, together. Then you're going to move down to the next one, finger 2, finger 3, together. So this song, Two Black Ants, has words, and it goes like this. I'll demonstrate first and then we can try together. 2 black ants digging down to their home in the ground. So, can you try with me this time? Don't worry about singing. If you don't want to, you can just try playing the notes first of all. If you feel like having a go at singing too, that's great. So, are you ready? 2 black ants digging down to their home in the ground. Well done. So on the next page, you'll see a piece called Two Blackbirds. And this works in exactly the same way. So still using those groups of 2 black notes, but with our right hand this time. And you're going up the piano. So let me demonstrate for you. 2 blackbirds flying high, going up to the sky. You can see I finished on that really high group there. So what I'd like you to do is just pause the video and have a go again at those 2 songs, 2 Black Ants and 2 Blackbirds. So for our last activity of lesson 1, we're going to just have a look at some of the sounds on the piano a bit more. So earlier I mentioned when you play down the bottom end of the piano, it's loud and it's very low. And when you play at the top end, it's quite gentle and tinkly. So what animals do you think you could associate with these different sounds? So what animal is kind of loud and heavy and a bit scary maybe? I would say perhaps an elephant. You might be able to think of another one. And what about these high notes up here? What animal is kind of small and more gently and maybe runs about fast? Maybe I think a mouse, or it could be a little bird. Again, you might want to think of your own. And then what we can do is make up a story involving these 2 animals. So it could be that there's a big elephant who's loud and heavy, and then there's a tiny little mouse who's running about here very gently, running between the elephant's legs. And the elephant tramples around really loud. And the little mouse runs around. So what I want you to do is make up your own animal story. So I want you to think of an animal that is associated with the low, heavy end of the piano. So a big animal, maybe a scary animal, a loud animal. And I want you to think of an animal associated with the high end of the piano. So a little small animal, a gentle animal, an animal that runs fast. It's up to you. But that is your first piece of homework for this first lesson, to make up an animal story involving two different animals, one at the bottom end of the piano and one at the top. And your second piece of homework for this lesson is to practice your posture and your hand position again. And what I'd like you to do is try and teach your mum or your dad or somebody else in your family how to sit. So see if you can remember what we talked about at the beginning, and how to put their hands. And when we come back for lesson 2, I'll be asking you how that went, and we'll have a refresh of that. Okay, have fun practicing. See you next lesson.